And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery, the open bar of the internet, the world's greatest shit show, and the place where we, the good brothers and sisters of this most holy of temples, seek enlightenment through the drunkest, craziest, and most batshit ways possible. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have a newcomer into the temple, a long time and award-winning man of comic books. Soon to be adding "Kill the Idol, Save the Girl" to that resume. The one and only Christyle. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm counting down the days until winter comes back because I will and always will be a winter guy.
Oh, I'm fall.
What's fall? I've never heard of fall.
It's that little weekend between summer and winter.
Yeah, it's just out. The 4 seasons where I am are approaching winter, winter, still winter, and road construction.
Ha, that sounds like us.
But I'm in a place with a lot of forest, and forests don't really recognize the middle seasons, as it were.
Oh, those tricky bastards.
That and, well, Mother Nature is on the drugs. All of them. If I don't like the weather, I'll just wait 10 minutes. But plus, when the snow comes along, that means free ammo for me. But
oh, you're making me so hopeful now.
But with that said, I usually open up with the humble beginnings, the origin story, as it were. So, what would you say was your entry point to comics? And did you start out more as a Marvel guy or a DC guy?
I was DC for a very long time due to my dad being a huge Superman fan, but he also liked comics throughout the whole 9. So I was both DC and Marvel, but I started off DC.
Oh, so I'm guessing you started out reading Superman comics?
No, well, I started them, didn't really much like them, but then I got into Batman, and that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah. So you and I think we're both children of the 90s, so starting out with Batman would certainly make sense.
Yep.
Especially given the myriad of Batman stuff that was just out and about all over the place. Some of it I will admit I've gotten a recent appreciation for looking at the history of some things and how how vastly certain elements were changed over the years.
Right.
Or just things as simple as how Batman Beyond was technically the best of a bad situation.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna start off with attacking me personally because I love Batman Beyond. But
Well,
you're right.
let
You're right.
let me clarify what I mean. Oh, after after wrapping up what a season of both the new Batman Adventures and Superman, Jamie Kellner, the head of Warner, who I'm not a big fan of because he's responsible for introducing TMZ to the world after claiming that professional wrestling was low class. Figure that out. I've been trying to figure that out for years. He ha- he had felt that in order to try and grab the youngest audience for Batman, and he had cited Buffy as a reason for doing this. Uh, that they should do a teenage Bruce Wayne. Tim hated the idea, and it wasn't until Glenn Murakami pitched the idea of doing basically Terry McGinnis, although the name McGinnis wasn't set. And there was early issues of where Wizard magazine where he had a different last name. That was what and the concept art that Murakami was doing. That was what led to the creation of Batman Beyond.
So was it? So this was before Justice League came out and tried to retcon Bruce Wayne as his like bio dad.
Yeah, this was long. This was long before that. That was never in the plan originally.
Okay.
Uh, Now, granted that particular retcon and I think ended up working out, and Epilogue is one of the best episodes of Justice League. But it's in that same vein, it's kind of funny seeing how certain villains got their start and evolved. You look at Mr. Zero from back in like this in the Silver Age compared to Mr. Freeze as we know it now.
I've never heard of that one. That's like an old concept, Mr. Freeze.
The earliest concept was Mr. Zero and was one of many gimmick villains from that era. This was the same era that brought us like Firefly and Calendar Man, and the Silver Age was weird.
Oh, so that's where Condiment Man was at.
Yes.
Ah,
So I do like the running gag that nobody likes dealing with Condiment Man.
he's he's in the same guise as when they made Calendar Man, like a really dark serious villain. And so I'm waiting on Condiment Man to become more like that.
Or like the what?
Oh well, so Calendar Man was like a gimmick, but then in like the recent Batman media, he's like somebody you don't want to cross. Like he has an actual storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, when they eventually have to go and redo, Condiment Man into a much darker hero, that's what I'm like really afraid of. Just in with the whole concept alone.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And now with that kind of thing in mind, um, walk me through like the chain of events that led you to start making comics yourself.
Um, give you the short end of it. I started off as a indie video game writer
Mm.
for a close friend's now defunct video game company. We were writing a RPG a couple years ago, and in the middle of development, we couldn't really fund it, couldn't pay for it, couldn't finish it. He lost steam, and I kind of finished the entire narrative. So we sat on it for a good year, and it was a great narrative. Where I was like, I kind of want to see it in some fashion. So I asked if I could take it and move it as my own, and he said sure, and that's why we're here now.
Mhm. Which the funny thing is, this is I think maybe the third time I've seen that kind of story of someone taking like a video game or basically a narrative from another medium and turning it into a a either a comic book or a novel or in some cases a tabletop game.
Oh yeah.
I
No, I
as
mean it was just like so much work had been done, and I'm like, I don't want to leave it just in this dock.
which I can completely understand that. What instantly comes to mind is the art book that was eventually released for that was basically the treatment for the Dune movie that Hodorowski was going to do. Although the concepts that he was going to do at the time are completely nuts.
Oh yeah.
Like, he wanted to have H.R. Giger handle the concept art. Oh. Or things like have the Emperor be played by Salvador Dali of all people.
Oh yeah. No, this so Dune's way older than I thought it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. As far as the books, Dune has been around for a while. Um, I won't say it it's one of those projects that came from uh, that that very divisive time of science fiction. As strange as it might sound nowadays, there was a point in time where science fiction was viewed at with open scorn within writing circles.
Yeah. Why?
Um, early science fiction, especially in like the days of Weird Tales all the way back in the 20s, had gotten this because of the fact that it was written a lot in a lot of pulp magazines. Um, there was this reputation of being low grade or low quality. Uh, this is what led to the creation of Sturgeon's law. 90% of everything is crap, and that was
Okay.
because Sturgeon took an exception to people using a few bad examples of science fiction to say that the entire medium is bad, or the entire medium does not have artistic merit. Um, and it's an it's one of those things that's in the amusing in hindsight, but because of the rise of pulp material, which pulp is called that because they used a cheaper version of paper for the books, and that kind of aided when it came to when it came to that particular perception. Um, if I were to use a more contemporary parallel, think of the attitude that people have for like asylum movies, or those really bad directed DVD movies like say Transmorphers.
I was going to say, or I think it was the goal, but yeah.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, yes, it was, but it did result in a bit of a bit of a ripple effect. Um, although sad thing is, Asylum Pictures did a better job with John Carter than Disney did.
Right. Oh my god. Oh, I didn't think I would be hearing anything about John Cotter. right now. That's another sore spot.
Yeah, I although fr although from what I ended up learning, the John Carter movie we did get was right in the middle of a change in direction at Disney, and it kind of got screwed over in the middle.
Right.
Basically, it got inherited by the new guys, and they hated it. Oh,
I'm learning a lot today.
yeah, that tends to happen here. But of course, the funny thing with John Carter is that it actually had a much better run when it came to comic books, um, especially during the Dynamite years. Same thing with Conan, oddly enough. I think there's a lot of people who have more of a familiarity with Conan through the comic books more than anything else. Be it Dark Horse or Dynamite, which when it now sometimes there's a bit of a transition period or a moment of awkwardness when trying to convert a story or the like from one medium to the other. Was there was there anything like that when trying to convert what was a story for a video game into comic book in terms of how the story is paced?
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't a really easy one to one, um, since we were working with filler dialogue and then like action sequences. I just took what we had and I changed a lot, so it's not even like the very same concept that we ended up doing or we were going to do originally. But I tried to appeal to a demographic. I tried to focus it more on like team dynamics and not an actual overarching narrative. But um, I'm really pleased with it. With how it turned out being.
Yeah, and now with that in mind, there's been a few works that you've got under your banner that are on your link tree aside from Kill the Idol, which we'll get to in a moment. Um, but I think one of the first ones that I wanted to ask on was 9 millimeter Girls, which has elements of both a comic as well as a visual novel on its site. How did that come to be?
Oh, 9 millimeter. So funny, funny about those. That was not mine. So my artists, both of them, I work with. I decided to try to boost them up as well.
Hmm.
So whenever you work with me, if you have a long series, I typically try to put it where the majority of people are looking for my stuff, just to build more outreach. So that one is not mine. That one is SK6.
Okay, okay. I that is on me then, because whenever I see somebody's a links on somebody's link tree or whatnot, I make that assumption. But oh
Oh no, it's not the very first time. I actually get happy hearing about it because I never know if people are going to their stuff too.
yeah, and well, I end up looking through just about everything I can get my hands on when I do these things. But oh, I suppose instead, since it's one of the four that's brought up on the Kindle page that you have, uh, of the one of the things I did notice is that there is a fair bit of crime fiction slash I'd s- I'd say borderline cyberpunk with things like Good Blood Money and Braveheart Exile. Um, And I think one of the things I'm curious is in tabletop there's a concept called Appendix N, which is something that was born out of early D&D. This collection of influences throughout different medias or inspirational material across different media. With some of the stuff that you've done in the past, whether it be Jazz or Dream Match Revolution or Braveheart or Good Blood Money, um, what would you say would be some of the media that would be in that Appendix N, like an influence map?
Um, so earlier you mentioned having the anime manga influence,
Hmm.
or just any media of that nature
Oh yeah,
being something that's like inherent that people are going to pick up on.
yeah.
Um, it's a lot of anime. It's a lot of manga that I've read. Um, prime example is Braveheart is inspired by Trigun.
Hmm.
That's one of my most favorite. Like as a kid growing up, I love reading Trigun, and I got to the point where I was like, I want to try that. I want to see how it would look like if I happened to do something like it. And then with Dream Match is a pro wrestling series,
Hmm.
and I am a avid pro wrestling fanatic, and I really like women's wrestling, especially in Japan, because it's done in like it's such a fascinating artsy way.
Hmm.
We don't have that here. Oh, we didn't have it originally. Like we are getting a much bigger female wrestling now than we ever have. But I've always wanted to like respectfully put women in the ring and not have it built to just like the stereotypical skimpy outfits and this, that, and the third. I wanted to have something that had weight, something that was made to inspire people.
Yeah, you.
And it doesn't help or doesn't hurt that like I have actual like indie wrestlers in the series that I've met over like the last couple of years.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounded like you'd want to lean more into what was done with, say, um, AJW back in the 90s.
Yeah,
Uh, which I could certainly see that. And a lot of people I've seen them I've seen them talk about having an anime influence, but truth be told, whenever and I'm not slagging you when I say this, but when a lot of people say an anime influence, they always are they're a lot of times they're non-specific, and you've probably seen this a few times when somebody advertises an anime-inspired graphic novel or something like that, but they never say what anime they're inspired by. And I'm always like, do you have any idea how little that narrows it down? Because anime is a medium.
right. No,
It
that's the convo that we just had a while back because that's what's it's a buzzword that people use who think that people who like anime are going to cross over to them, and it's never the case.
well, I remember having a pet peeve with a lot of animators in the mid 2010s because they kept saying, "Oh, we're inspired by anime," and the inspiration just begins and ends with doing the Akira bike slide or doing a elaborate transformation like they're channeling Sailor Moon or something. I'm like, okay, we've been there, we've done that, we've got the T-shirt. Can you give me something else here?
Nah, because they don't have anything else.
Yeah, and that is that's not in, that isn't inspired. That's just pulling a wink to the audience, which is the thing any theater director will tell you not to do.
Right.
Uh, like a few bits of fan service or a few in jokes. That's fine and all, but you shouldn't be so blatant with it. And it's a difference between if Gendy Tartakovsky does the Akira slide like he did in say the Clone Wars shorts. That makes sense because he is as much of an animation geek as he is anything else. Oh. So a lot of others when they do it, it's just doing it just to do it. Or
Which
because
sucks.
and it is funny you mentioned Trigun because Trigun is in a weird place when it comes to its adaptations.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm not a fan of whatever Netflix does with them.
um, well, the there are a lot of differences, especially with the gung ho guns, between the manga and the anime that Madhouse did. Just as an example, and Yasuhiro Naito has admitted that it took him a while to figure out how visual storytelling worked. Before he did manga, he was an architect. And he admitted like the first volume or the like he didn't quite get how to tell a story with images. You can kind of see it with how, if you look at like the first volume of the manga, it looks a little bit like the storyline is jumping.
Oh yeah, I have what for Trigun?
Yeah.
Yes. I had that actually on my shelf somewhere.
Mm-hmm. There was an interview he did years ago at a convention where the interviewer was trying to gas up his dynamic art style, and Naito just laughs and says, "Is that the English word for incomprehensible?" But not obviously more recently there's been Stampede, which is also doing its own direction. It's Trigun is in that weird spot, much like Ghost in the Shell, where everybody who's adapted it has done a different direction. And although I will admit Stampede is closer, but also not to the original manga. It's in that weird spot. I'd say Escaflowne is the same thing, where the manga and the anime are very different from each other.
Right. Well, luckily the Ghost in the Shell series coming out next month is like more tied towards the manga.
Oh yeah, it is, and I predict you're going to see a lot of people especially people who didn't read the manga, getting a lot of culture shock.
Oh yeah.
Now, I had a feeling it was going to be interesting because that Ghost in the Shell adaptation that we're getting next month is done by Science Saru. Science Saru is Masaki Yuasa's studio. He used to run it. Now he just does directorial work under that name, because he always struck me as an animation geek first and foremost, and one who's more comfortable making animation than running a studio. But Yuasa can get weird. His earliest work was Mind Game, where the most normal thing in that movie was the main character outrunning God.
Wow.
And the whole thing was admittedly an experiment of how far can I stretch it and still call it animation? Oh. And then there was stuff like Kaiba, which looks like a weird sci-fi take on a Dr. Seuss story involving shared memories, and then things get weird. Oh.
Oh wow. I've never seen any of these.
Yeah. The only time that he doesn't get as weird is when he's adapting somebody else's stuff. When he's writing and directing, things tend to get very strange. Oh. But like for the while, the tamest thing he did was Tatami Galaxy, which even that had its bit of weirdness, especially with the time loops in the first 6 episodes. And his particular brand of unorthodox storytelling is able to show itself without going too off the rails. But stuff like that, or Don't Mess with Eizouken, or Dan to Dan, those are all him adapting work that already existed.
And doing it pretty well, too.
Yeah. Up until this point, the version of Ghost in the Shell that we'll see next month, the only thing that came close to showing that style of it was the PS1 game.
A game I have never beaten.
Um, would it surprise you at all if I say that was done by the same team that did Jumping Flash?
No, which one? What was Jumping Flash?
That was that weird early PS1 game with it involving you being a rabbit in a rabbit mech.
No, I mean, I believe you because that it was the PS1.
Mm-hmm.
I just never heard of that one.
Yeah, like when I say early, I mean like it was the I think the first one was either a launch title or close to a launch title for the PlayStation.
What a system that was.
Now even before the PS1 came out, it was already flexing at because are you familiar with the 299 incident that happened at E3 the year before it came out?
Yes, that was a call. It was a attack on Sega.
Mm-hmm. It, if I'm being honest, it pretty much killed the Saturn in the U.S.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I say this and my Saturn's still plugged up.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. There's plenty that I like, and if I were to say I didn't like the Saturn, then I'm pretty sure Sagata Sanchiro would have a few words with me on that. I'd probably get judo flipped so hard I end up exploding twice.
It's worth it.
Mm-mm. But you know, getting back to that whole inspired by anime thing. Within RPGs, there was a period of time where a bunch of people were trying to do anime TTRPGs, and a lot of them didn't have, aside with exceptions of say Big Eyes Small Mouth and Open Versatile Anime, a lot of them were trying to be kitchen sinks, which had the kind of results you would think they would have.
Oh, no actual core target audience.
No core direction.
That's it.
Some of them, especially the ones that came up in the '90s, I have to give a bit of a pass because, you know, the understanding was very limited at the time. Uh, you know, this was a case of you grab whatever you can get if you're lucky. Usually a bunch of OVAs that somehow make it stateside. Maybe a Laserdisc or two if you're really lucky. But as time went on, and nowadays when people try and do it, you see them be more specific. Um, like a game like Bounty Head Bebop is obviously channeling Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star, or games like Knights of the Round Academy are channeling school genre anime and mechs. How's that for a combination?
No, that's it. It doesn't even sound bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but since you brought up that Dream Match Revolution was your nod to essentially Joshi wrestling, was there a particular match or a particular promotion or the like that put the idea in your head to do that particular series?
It wasn't a match, but a while ago, especially in like the early tens, I fell out with the Federation Wrestling. So
Right.
I was getting tired of like WWE, and then AEW kind of jumped a couple years later, and then I was hoping that was going to be the thing, but it ended up doing the very same thing. But I started to kind of look at like New Japan Pro Wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in a Facebook group for like New Japan, and I kept asking people like, man, there's not that many like female wrestlers here, but like when they wrestle, they're always pretty good. And somebody looked finally like because like people would like talk over me and just like, oh whatever. But finally somebody was like, hey, have you heard of Stardom? And I'm sitting there going like, no, I've never heard of that. So they shot me a download link that they made off their computer, which I should have never like. Don't if anyone's listening, do not download random files from anybody like you don't know. but I did it anyway, and he gave me like 20 something matches, and that's when I was instantly like, okay, how do I get more of this? And at the time, it was hard to get these matches because they were only on YouTube, and I couldn't stay up late enough to watch them live. But that's where it all started at.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Um, and when it comes to Japanese promotions, I feel like you'd get a kick out of Dragon Gate.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Um, Dragon Gate is one of the rare cases of a Puro-res promotion that isn't headquartered around Tokyo. In fact, it's headquartered in, or I won't say headquartered, but most of their bigger events take place in Kobe. It was started by Ultimo Dragon as Toryumon Japan. Basically a Japanese branch of his Toryumon gym that he had in Mexico. It got retitled to Dragon Gate when he stepped down from running it to wrestle for WWE for the brief time that he did. And its particular style is what's been called lucha wrestling, a mix of Japanese pro wrestling and lucha libre. Placing a lot of emphasis on light heavyweights, cruiserweights, and the like, and a lot of emphasis on stables. I'd say about 85% of the roster is in some kind of stable. Even if that stable is just 2 people, sometimes. But you still have that dojo system of a crop of graduates from their academy every year. That kind of thing. Much like the whole Young Lions setup that New Japan has.
Right.
But like I got into New Japan oddly enough during the worst time possible, because I had gotten into it in the mid 2000s, the Inokiism years, when they were the worst promotion out there. In fact, they got worst promotion of the year one year.
Wow. Do you know which year?
I'd have to double check. I want to say 2004. Don't quote me on that.
That's rough. Because if it's 04, that was a bad year for us.
It was the early 2000s were a down year for pretty much everybody except Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
They were the only ones who were doing well around that time. And I think a large part of it had to do with the chain of events that led to the Great Exodus in 2000, where Mitsuharu Misawa basically was sick of Michiko Baba's shit and was like, I'm saying screw you, I'm gonna make my own promotion, and took damn near everybody with him. Like when I say damn near everybody, I mean all but 3 of their native wrestlers jumped with him, and he took All Japan's TV deal with him.
I mean, that it sounded like it was a safe bet anyway.
It was there were a lot of tensions between Misawa and Michiko Baba, who is the wife of Giant Baba, about him wanting to try and modernize All Japan's television, and just the promotion in general, because they were still running things like they did all the way back in the 70s. But Michiko was constantly either resistant or shooting down things, even though he was the head booker, she had majority control. So he didn't really have the ability to make the decisions he wanted to. And All Japan was dominant with the 4 pillars at the time. the four pillars of heaven, and
Mm.
the which Misawa was one of them. But the culmination of those frustrations and then the right opportunity led him to jump ship and just form his own promotion, which was Pro Wrestling Noah. And yes, it was meant to be a Noah's Ark nod. One of the old logos even has a bird carrying an olive branch.
Okay.
But but the other reason, one of the big reasons for why things were so rough in the 2000s in Japan was MMA was taking everybody's lunch, and a lot.
Yeah.
Inoki tried to adapt by having wrestlers in MMA matches and MMA wrestlers in wrestling matches. It didn't work. It did not work at all. And you end up with things like Jushin Thunder Liger trying to do MMA and being completely overmatched.
No, it wasn't a fun era. And I'm glad that we got out of that almost unscathed.
Yeah. Uh, but one of the other ones too that I'd want to get a feel for the Appendix N is Jazz Juggernauts against Zealots.
That one. That one. So that's the video game that was our game turned into to a series. I have made a lot of changes. That one was more my hey. I like Teen Titans a lot. I really like team-based stories.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can try one as my very first series.
Which I could certainly see that, and it is somewhat amusing that like the Teen Titans series we got in the 2000s was, although I don't think anyone's outright said it, but there's a small hinting of Sentai DNA within it.
Yes.
It isn't something that's blatant, but if you've seen enough series of Super Sentai, you'll see the patterns. And of course, I could also bring up XCOM, but that's a little too easy, and you're not doing with the RNG that XCOM is infamous for.
XCOM the game series?
Yeah.
Okay.
99% chance to hit with your rifle at point blank range. Still miss.
Oh, that sounds like Fallout.
Fallout can have it at times, but XCOM is the origin story of that meme.
I see.
Oh. Even more so if somebody tries to bring in the infamous Long War mod, which is basically trying to run the game on nightmare mode. But and with good blood money, part of me wants to go out on a limb and guess, was one of the influences Golgo 13?
You're not far off. That's closely one. I'll outright say it. City Hunter was that one.
I can definitely see it, especially since the cover of that is very much channeling some of the more iconic shots with City Hunter.
Yep.
Oddly enough, the best live action take on City Hunter is the French one.
Oh, I didn't know there was a French one.
Yeah, there is, and while the color palette is a bit much at times, uh, the team behind it were massive fans of City Hunter and tried to get as close to the mark as possible. The other live action attempts, uh, they were a little bit too serious for their own good. And
Yeah, no.
yeah, City Hunter can certainly have its dark moments, but you need those levities as well. Like you need to break out the 100-ton hammer at times. Uh, but it's one of those things where as funny as the Netflix adaptation meme about screwing up in live action is, um, they're not the only offenders, and sometimes even Japanese live action adaptations screw it up.
Yes, there's. I'm looking at you, Initial D.
Which I remember being baffled when it came to that because I was like, it's toge racing. How do you screw that up?
True.
Like, although I do honestly believe that the guy behind Initial D is a massive gearhead. You couldn't make something like that without being a gearhead.
Yes.
And it's one I had said a while back that when it came to sports anime, I'd like to see a sports anime or manga that was done by somebody who was a mega fan of that particular sport. You obviously have that with, well, football over there, but with things like Blue Lock and Captain Tsubasa. But the only time it's been tried with American football I can think of was Ice Shield 21, which didn't last. But the point is that when it comes to drawing upon anime, it's important to recognize that it's a medium and not just one or two things. And I definitely see that with that body of work. And now, more recently, you're delving into supers with Kill the Idol, Save the Girl.
Yes.
And obviously there has been a slow rise of superhero manga, but on the comic book side of things, were there any major influences that came to mind for you?
This is gonna sound so bad, but I typically do not like indie superhero stories on like our level because like a lot of it is just emulation, and they don't really understand what makes the heroes that they are inspired and emulate. They don't understand like how they came to be, and they try to make these other heroes without the core essence of it. So um somebody I gave an early copy of this to somebody, and they came back and was like, oh, okay, so you're just making Watchmen. And I was like, yes. It's literally a Watchmen like comic. It's not much about attacking the core of the superhero genre itself, but it's more like I wish that we could be more honest about why we like what we like and what we're inspired by.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally just like a diet Watchmen like comic book.
Yeah, although from what's funny about that is kind of the kind of back and forth that's going on regarding Watchmen. Um, and what especially is hilarious, and I doubt you're going to fall into this same trap, is Alan Moore claiming that Rorschach was not supposed to be the hero of that story, or even the protagonist, basically trying to do the whole "you're not supposed to root for Rorschach." Which, if that was the case, then Alan Moore is terrible at reading the room.
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you're putting him up against individ worse individuals in the case of his early years, and a whole system that has far more reach than he ever could. And given how people love an underdog story, how are people not going to gravitate to that?
That's also where that kind of fits into what I mean about people not understanding the heroes that they emulate, or in this case, Alan Moore not understanding the hero that he created.
Uh, I have heard that he did that Moore did not care for how I think it was either Kirby or Ditko had described Rorschach as Mr. A, but he's insane.
No, he
Um,
didn't like that.
no.
Oh, that sucks.
Um, so I have to take more with a grain of salt because he's weird in his own right. Um, like the sole reason that he made Constantine was just so he had an excuse to draw Sting. Um, and also the fact that he claims to be a sorcerer.
Hmm. That's new.
Yeah, he's a few eggs short of a picnic. Oh. But I can't see that because Watchmen was intended to be a deconstruction of superheroes using character concepts that DC had at the time acquired thanks to the acquisition of Charlton Comics. Oh. But a lot of those same characters have been misinterpreted, or and even the whole idea of doing a deconstruction has been misinterpreted in the years since. And
I agree with that.
a lot of it is, in my opinion, and maybe you shared this. A lot of attempts to do deconstructions are overemphasizing punching down on the idea of superheroes. I think that's part of the reason why something like The Boys left a very bad taste in my mouth.
No, I that's a really good point.
Oh,
And that's exactly what Kill the Idol, Save the Girl aims to do. Is instead of doing just that, it's to um in a wider sense put a mirror to people who feel like weighted heroes have to be in this downtrodden mode, or
mhm.
or at least the like discussion around them like it can't be like optimistic.
Yeah, and doing a more mesh. I'd say the the I'd say the closest parallel, even though it didn't quite stick the landing, would be oddly enough some of the later arcs with My Hero Academia.
True.
Because yes, it does put a very harsh lens on um the superhero society that had been developed in that universe. But at the end of it, it's not trying to say, oh, the entirety of superheroing as it's known needs to go extinct. Because by the end of that story, it still exists. It just exists in a reduced state because you have people doing it for the right reasons instead of just for fame. The thing that died was the celebrity part of heroing. But when it comes to doing those sort of examinations, there's two sides to it, and I think a lot of deconstructions take the approach of either the stupidity or the absurdity of the concept. And I will mainly pick on the boys when it comes to this because as much as I like Garth Ennis, it is very much a case of focusing exclusively on the negative side of heroing. Given the stuff that Ennis would write for Punisher, I understand why he wrote that way, and the comic is worse than the TV show. I will make that clear.
Oh yeah, we got spared.
We we got spared the worst of it, and at the same time, oh, I feel like those, maybe it's just me, but would it be fair to say that those kind of deconstructions are on some level a overcorrection from the attitude of heroes as goody two shoes.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, you're not wrong. When you once again when you look at heroes from your own perspective and not from the perspective of that era or that economy, so even that religion from different aspects, then you kind of miss the point of why they were made.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I think it's also the reason why, like with Batman, for instance, when people do the whole, oh, Batman is just a billionaire beating up on homeless people meme that goes about. I always roll my eyes with that because, first off, it's not even true, and second off, it's completely missing the totality of that character.
Oh, it's because they never care to. It's just funnier to just be dismissive
Mm-hmm.
because it's funnier and easier, and it gets you into conversations with people for like fellowship purposes, but not for actual like comic coverage.
It is a how do you do, fellow kids?
Yes,
I'd say it's right up there with the and since you got started with Superman, you've probably heard this, the whole, oh, Superman is boring because there's nothing that can really threaten him.
I heard it, and as a even as a non Superman fan, like that's not at all the case.
Uh, it
But
definitely
like,
isn't.
but that's like that essentially is us getting into conversations with like power scalers and like anime all the time, and those people do not deserve any type of forethought.
I have I have treated power scalers as a whipping boy, um, since I found out about the concept a few years ago.
As you should, because they fucking suck.
Um, aside from the fact that a lot of them were way too aggressive with me when I was just asking questions. Um,
Look, a lot of the time they'll be aggressive because they don't know themselves, so it's a lot easier to just be dismissive than to answer key questions.
uh, although with one of them, after they decided to be aggressive with me, I just said, "Speak up! I can't hear you from down there."
Yeah, no, that's there you go.
Like,
That's a proper way to handle it.
uh, but I look at the whole power scaling thing as people, like with the folks who take Death Battle way too seriously.
Oh, jeez.
Uh,
Yeah, I hate them.
and yes, they are just as much of a whipping boy because all critics have their whipping boys. But when it, and I think I count my lucky stars that the majority of communities when it comes to anime treat power scalers as this untouchable, this do not approach kind of thing, where for the most part they're not taken seriously. Uh, not on the same level as like tourists, but not far off. Oh,
Right.
I don't know. You could probably put him in the same. You can probably put him in the same category as the people who pull a dog sitting on a nail by bitching about fan service, but continue to keep watching anime with fan service.
Jeez, I think you did you. It feels like you just read or watched one of my reels about that that I
Um,
made recently.
it did come up, but
Ah,
I have now. I've mentioned this in the past, but the whole dog on a nail—that's an old wives' tale that I had stuck in my head as a kid. Of a guy goes up to a general store, and he sees this dog on the porch howling. He asks the owner, "Why is that dog howling out there?" He's like, "Oh, there's an exposed nail in that part of the porch, so he's howling because it hurts." And the guy's like, "Why doesn't he move?" The owner says, "Well, I guess it doesn't hurt enough to move."
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
because
I get that.
and I admittedly when it comes to the whole deconstruction thing, oh, I have a I I have a hard time thinking of comic book deconstructions that have either ended up working or left things in a better place than they were. Um, Most of the better deconstructions I can think of, oddly enough, came out of anime. Um, because one could say the very commercial look with Tiger and Bunny was deconstructing superheroes, but it wasn't trying to completely tear it down. More of taking a balanced approach of the positive and negative side of its implications. Uh, I already mentioned Hiroaka, but also Madoka, which was very much deconstructing the Maho Shoujo genre, but it wasn't trying to just hyper focus on flaws. Uh, which is saying something because it's from the Ura Butcher.
Okay.
Gen Urabuchi, who is the writer for Fate Zero and a bunch of other projects, also the lead writer for Kamen Rider Gaim. He was nicknamed the Uro Butcher because of his tendency to just slaughter his casts. Not as bad as Tamino, but certainly close.
Oh no, no one's like that.
Uh, and after especially after Gaim, he's kind of dialed that kind of thing back. But with both of those series, and I had said Evangelion felt like a deconstruction of Super Robot, but that's not entirely accurate with what I know now. But again, it comes back to that theme of looking at the totality, the positive and the negative side of it. Like with something like The Boys, it's almost saying the message of why do you like these hero characters? They're all a bunch of assholes.
It's such an easy like combo starter versus an actual thought process.
Yeah, and when I look at a lot of high concept stories in science fiction, the worst ones are the ones that just focus on thing bad. This is why nobody remembers a film like The Net from the not from the 90s, which was trying to be this cautionary tale on the internet, but it's clear it was written from a very alarmist attitude.
Right.
As opposed to as opposed to something like say Inception, which is looking at both sides of the coin when it comes to its particular dream sharing thing. That might not be the best example, but the point is that there's ways to do it, there's ways to not do it. But when it,
It's really about trying to like find that middle balance
yeah.
of doing it and not doing it right.
Mhm. But with the setup that you've brought up, I know that Watchmen has been brought up, but I feel like another series might that might have been brought up in I'm not sure if it had been brought up to you, but I know I would have. Is Wanted.
Yeah, somebody did bring that up a while back, and I never thought about that. Yes, I agree with that a lot.
Oh, and Wanted was supposed to be a Watchmen like deconstruction, but on supervillains, but it didn't quite hit the mark. Oh, mostly because it's kind of hard to do that when all the heroes are pretty much gone and what's left is the villains as assassins. Although the writer for it did admit the whole costume thing was supposed to be a ceremonial thing, but he forgot.
It's sometimes we do forget our own narratives.
Uh, and it happens to the best of us. I mean, no. Toriyama had admitted that Dragon Ball was originally supposed to be a modern take on Journey to the West, but a few chapters in, he forgot he was doing that.
That sounds like him.
I only found out about it because the volumes of the manga that I have translations of some of the fan letters he got, and one person outright made the parallels. Obviously, Son Goku is the Japanese name of Sun Wukong, but Bulma is supposed to be an nod to Sanzo, the Eternal Dragon to Sanzo's horse, and so on. And obviously Oolong when there was the pig, um, in um, in Journey to the West, and they appear in a similar order to that original story. So, but Toriyama just outright said that he forgot. And in the same vein, the main reason why Toriyama came out with the whole Super Saiyan thing was because he got sick of inking Goku's hair.
Yeah, yeah. It's so much easier to just have it just be white.
Mm-hmm. Which, given how much ink you have to do with that much hair, I can understand why.
He found shortcuts into like an almost art form.
I can't remember who said it, but there was a line about necessity being the mother of invention.
Yeah, no, that is him.
But I suppose the better analogy would be I believe, I'm not sure if he coined the phrase, but it's been credited to him that Bill Gates had said a long time ago of, I give the most complicated job to the laziest person because they'll find the quickest way to solve the job.
That's true.
Uh,
Hate the man, but he's right.
that pretty much describes every E4 I've ever met. And as
E4. Oh, that's are you military?
I have family who are, and I have friends who served, and because of that, some of that humor has carried over to me. And for legal purposes, I have to say the E4 Mafia or the Lance Corporal Underground does not exist.
No, that is funny.
Some of them have sent me MREs to try out / suffer. The last one was the vegetarian omelet, which is the worst MRE I've ever had in my life. Oh. Some are better than others. Just the veggie omelet I couldn't finish. It took me a whole evening to get through that thing. It was so bad.
It doesn't sound great, no.
No. It's a vegetarian omelet. And we're dealing with MREs, so it's it's not like you're dealing with even even the proper runny eggs that soldiers go nuts over. But
No, that's nuts.
yeah, I have seen how seriously some people treat the getting those runny eggs every morning. Uh, to the point where it had its, I think at one point it had its own wiki page.
Yeah, that's when you know you made it.
I guess, but I mean I've been cited for Wikipedia articles at least once.
Oh, okay. Nah, I have not.
Yeah, but now with that in mind, I know Kill the Idol is currently in pre-launch on Kickstarter. Um, do you have a launch date in mind for the thing, or do you plan on doing like a issue 0 or some kind of preview?
Um, there is preview pages on the campaign page.
Mm-hmm.
That people can kind of check out. I normally do them in a sequence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to shoot for June. This has been my most busiest year in my personal life with everything going on with my kids' graduation and job changes and whatnot. So I'm trying to get it done in June.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, I just launch it in July, but um, it's looking more like June's going to be the move. So maybe the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Which doing it in the summertime is a good move because I think we're getting pretty close to free comic book day. I know free RPG day is later this month. I can't remember if it's either summer. Actually, it'd have to be summer because the one time I was at Comic-Con, that they had stuff alongside free comic book day.
Right.
But and for this, is it planned to be a singular standalone book, or are we dealing with the first issue of a series?
So I have been doing a lot of my books based off of how much I want to do them, and over time, people kind of like jump on, and it gives me a better idea. This one is going to be, it will be released as a standalone. If I get enough interest after the campaign's over, that it'll let me know to continue making it or not. It's just a much safer, bet versus me trying to like feed people like, hey, I'm gonna keep making it. But this is also my like very first westernized comic book, out the company. Everything I've done has been predominantly manga based. So this is going to be the first actual one where it's like, hey, it's now more towards what everybody else is used to.
Mm-hmm. I can get that.
Just trying whatever works.
Oh yeah, and I'll certainly keep an eye out on that front. But with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my monastery. And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open. As I often say around here, drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged.
I wish I did more drinking anyway.
And, of course, a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there'll be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.